So this week, Democrat mayor, a Muslim mayor, Amr Ghalib, the mayor of Hamtramck, Michigan, just endorsed Donald Trump for president. This is very significant because Michigan is a crucial state. Harris has to win Michigan. Trump doesn't. If Trump wins Michigan, he wins. But if Kamala Harris does not win Michigan, she loses. And this is very significant because it's not that he's just a Democrat and he's just a Muslim. It's because he's the mayor of the most populated Muslim city, I think, in the country. Definitely in Michigan, but I believe in the country. It's a suburb of Detroit, and most of the residents there are Muslim, and he's a very popular mayor. And this is very significant because in the primaries, Joe Biden was basically running unopposed, but he didn't get all the delegates in Michigan because over 100,000 Muslims voted uncommitted. So this uncommitted vote, which isn't even a person, it's just a protest vote against Biden because there was no one else to vote for, got 2 delegates. So he didn't even get all the delegates in the primaries in Michigan. If Kamala Harris gets 100,000 Muslims in Michigan do not vote for Kamala Harris, she probably loses. If 100,000 Muslims vote for Trump, she definitely loses Michigan. And Michigan is a lot closer this time than it was in 2020 when Biden won it. Biden won it with just over 100,000 votes. Very significant. And at the same time, interestingly enough, going against the narrative of the media, and I'll tell you how the media lies. I'll show you how the media lies in a moment here. But Trump is on track to gain the most Jewish votes in the history of the Republican Party. Actually, he's already had it. In 2020, he got 30% of the Jewish vote in America. Up to that point, George W. Bush had the most. He had 20%. His father didn't even get 10%. So now the honest pollsters, the more accurate ones that always turn out to be the most accurate, are saying he's around 50% of the Jewish vote. So why is he getting the Jewish vote and the Muslim vote? Because critical thinking Jews and critical thinking Muslims, smart people, know that he's the peace candidate. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." And people get so mad when I put Jesus and Trump in the same sentence because Jesus was the only perfect man, was the only sinless man, and Trump is far from sinless and far from perfect. But they fail to recognize that God throughout history has always used imperfect men. St. Paul was a murderer. King David was a adulterer and a murderer. God has used imperfect men to accomplish his goals. Winston Churchill said of himself, "I'm a very bad parishioner, but I'm the greatest protector of parishioners because I know freedom of religion is the most important right for a free country." So I always say that he may not be the greatest Christian, but in my time, objectively speaking, critically thinking, looking at all the presidents in my lifetime, and I'll be 59 next month, he's been the best protector of religious freedom, not only for Americans, but throughout the world. Now, why do the Jewish voters support him? And why do the Muslim voters support him? Because they know there was peace in the Middle East when he was there. And this is why Democrats like Alan Dershowitz, lifelong Democrat, voted for Obama twice, voted for Hillary, voted for Biden, actually been a bundler, like raising money, like actively campaigning for Democrats his whole life, liberal, still considers himself a liberal. Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz left the Democrat Party. He didn't say if he was going to endorse Trump, but he did say he left the Democrat Party because, number one, they're very anti-Semitic. There's a big anti-Semitic wing. But he sees what's happening in Israel. So critical thinking Muslims and critical thinking Jews see, under Biden and Harris, Israel is aflame. The Middle East is aflame. Innocent Muslim children and innocent Jewish children are being killed. And both Harris and Trump know the reason. It's because Iran is backing the terrorists in the north, Hezbollah, and the terrorists in the south, Hamas, with tons of money and military equipment that we left behind in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan people gave to Iran, and they're sending them over throughout the world and using against us. So, what do they know? They both know that Iran's causing it, but their approach were like different than night and day. Obama's approach didn't work. You know, he wanted to appease Iran and give them money, gave them billions of dollars, lifted their sanctions, and it didn't work. Trump comes in and says, no, they're not getting a penny. He put the harshest sanctions, and he said, if anybody buys oil from them, we're sanctioning you too. So he starved them out. He froze up billions of their assets in America. So they couldn't give the money. You see, they were giving the money not only to the Hezbollah terrorists that were attacking Israel from the north. They were giving the money to Hamas that's attacking them from the south. They were also giving the money to the Houthi terrorists that were attacking the Saudi Arabian soldiers in Yemen, because Yemen asked Saudi Arabia for help because these Houthi terrorists were terrorizing their people, enslaving them. Iran funded terrorists throughout the world. So when Trump came in with his plan and he spoke to the other Arab nations and they agreed, in fact, they were so excited about Trump's plan, Trump signed four peace treaties in the Middle East. And when he said he was going to get this done, and he sent his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's an Orthodox Jew, he's married to Ivanka Trump, the media laughed at him. They're like, oh, just because his son's a Jew, he thinks he's going to get the peace deal. Or if Obama couldn't get a peace deal and nobody else could get a peace deal, there's no way Trump's going to get the peace deal. Trump got the peace deal. In fact, Trump got 4 peace deals. If the liberals were honest that won the Nobel Peace Prize, he'd have gotten 4 Nobel Peace Prizes. But instead, they gave it to Obama his first week in office, and Obama, like, embarrassingly accepted it, saying, I didn't do anything yet. But, oh, you talk so well, you talk so good about peace. You see, because the liberals are all about talk. Oh, it sounds so nice. Trump seems so mean. He's a warmonger. No, Trump knows how to have peace through policies. His policies, not his personality, his policies worked. And not only did he sign 4 peace deals, Israel, for the first time, signed peace deals with Oman, Bahrain, the UAE, and Morocco. They also signed agreements, and they were on their way to sign other peace deals with Saudi Arabia and Sudan, but they had like agreements where they would share intelligence about terrorists. You see, because not only was Iran under Obama funding the terrorists I told you about, the Houthis that were attacking the Saudi Arabians, the Hamas and Hezbollah, they were also funding Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Iraq. You know, they were attacking Iraq and our soldiers in Iraq, and they were also attacking the Saudis as well. So once Iran had no money, these terrorists were broke, there was peace. Then Biden comes in and he reverses all of Trump's policies in the Middle East, and all hell breaks loose. All hell breaks loose. So now you have Hezbollah and Hamas with millions of dollars to attack Israel. The Houthis with millions of dollars attack the Saudi Arabians again. And they're attacking us. You know, Kamala Harris, one of the 25 lies she said was, we don't have any soldiers in harm's way. And, you know, of course, ABC, being the dishonest media they are, didn't fact check her. We've had soldiers bombed, injured, and killed by these Houthis rebels, and we didn't do nothing about it. They're attacking sailors. American soldiers are attacking bases because they have so much money, because Biden gave them like $6 billion, just unfroze it, just gave him $6 billion that Trump had frozen right off the bat. And then he lifted these sanctions, or he just turned his head on these sanctions. And where they used to sell just minimal, like maybe made $100 million selling oil a year to China because they were the only ones that would buy from them. Now they're making hundreds of billions of dollars selling their oil. This is so critical thinking Muslims and Jews know that Donald Trump is the peacemaker. He's the peace candidate. Even Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong Democrat and also a combat veteran. And if you remember, she was the one that annihilated Kamala Harris in the debate. She was running for president, made Kamala Harris drop out. She annihilated her because Tulsi Gabbard is actually a very brilliant person. Kamala Harris is not very brilliant, to say the least. And she was the last candidate. It was her and Biden were the last two. And she was a much better candidate than Biden. But the Democrat Party, they control their guys like puppets. So they had all the other people drop out and endorse Biden, give all their money to Biden. And then the Democrat machine just attacked Tulsi. Hillary called her a Russian asset. So anyway, Tulsi eventually had to drop out for lack of money. But she was still a Democrat. And I believe she spoke at their convention. But then she recently gave a full-throated endorsement of Donald Trump because she knows he's the peace candidate. Same reason Democrat royalty, RFK Jr. came out and gave a full-throated endorsement to Trump because he knows he's the peace candidate. You see, what smart people know is these Democrats talk about peace, but they never let either side win. So the war machine keeps making money. It's what Republican President General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex. He said, of course, we need a strong military as a deterrent, but we got to be careful and watch them that these politicians don't use them to line their pockets because it's a very tempting source of money and revenue. And this is what the Democratic war machine is all about, making money on the war in Ukraine, making money on the war in Israel. And this is why a lot of people don't want Trump, because he's going to take away their money. And again, he may not be the most perfect candidate, but he's by far, when it comes to peace and war, the best candidate. And as Catholics, we're pro-life from the womb to the tomb. So we want to protect the life in the womb, but we want to protect these innocent Muslim and Jewish kids that are getting killed by this war, And Trump will end it because he'll stop funding Iran. And then once the terrorists have no money, they're going to be forced to hand over the American and Israeli hostages. And that's another thing. The media is so dishonest. When Carter was president and we had hostages in Iran, every day they would say day 30, I'm old enough to remember this, day 50, day 60. It's been almost a year and nobody's talking about the American hostages that the Hamas savages took, And we still have Americans left behind in Afghanistan that are hiding from the Taliban savages nobody talks about, This is a horrible, evil administration that is allowing horrible things to happen to innocent Americans, Jews, and Muslims throughout the world for a profit. This is the bottom line. And, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops just came out again and reiterated that the most important priority in this election is abortion. And Catholics have to vote pro-life. It's a sin not to vote pro-life. And I know a lot of Catholics are saying, oh, Trump isn't as pro-life as we want him to be. Number one, Trump hasn't changed. He said he was going to overturn Roe v. Wade, and he did. He said he would ban Americans from funding abortions like Obama and Harris want to do throughout the world and as they're doing now. And he did, and he'll do it again. Others say, well, he's not for an abortion ban. Number one, he never said he was for an abortion ban throughout the country. Number two, it would never get passed. It's just rhetoric. So Trump's not going to talk games that can't happen. He says he's going to do and he makes it happen. There's no way Congress would pass a federal abortion ban. That's naive to think that could even happen. I'm like, oh, well, he said he's going to have, American taxpayers paying for IVF. IVF is evil. Yes, IVF is evil. It's a sin. But again, that can never get passed through Congress. He can't do that with an executive order. He did that in response. I think it was a stupid response. But when he gets hit, he hits back. I don't even think he knows what IVF is. And the Democrats lied and said he's going to ban IVF. So he got pissed and was like, I'm not going to ban IVF. In fact, I'll pay for IVF. So he's still by far the most pro-life president we've ever had in our lifetime. And if pro-lifers don't vote for him, you're stupid. I'm just telling you that right now. You're stupid, because he is still the most pro-life president, you know? And anyway, I got to get to work. But, you know, people wonder, why are Muslims voting against their self-interest? He hates Muslims. No, he doesn't hate Muslims. The Saudi Arabians loved him. He hates terrorists, whether they're Muslims or Christians. You know, when we went in Bosnia, we sided with the Muslims because the Serbs were on the wrong side, you know. But right now, the terrorists in the world happen to be Muslims. But not all Muslims are terrorists. But the ones that Iran is backing are the terrorists. So he just like the border. A lot of people say, oh, you know, we're Christians, you know, we need to support the refugees. We do support the refugees, but what's happening on the border is evil. Biden, because he wants these people to become voters, purposely started this crisis. Now they're admitting it's a crisis, but it's like the fireman who goes and lights somebody's house on fire, and he's like, I got the answer. I'm coming to help put it out. It's like, you're the one who started the fire. The fact is that we know that, according to the FBI and the Border Patrol, the cartel has control of the border because Biden won't allow the Border Patrol to do their job. They won't allow ICE to do their job. So the cartel is trafficking women and children. This is evil. The Biden administration admitted there's over 300,000 children unaccounted for that came across the border. They know they came across the border. They sent them to supposedly a family member, but when they went to check on the family member, nobody knows anything about these kids. They're being trafficked. They're being raped by evil men throughout the world because Biden allowed an open border. So the open border isn't compassionate. The open border is evil. So there's only one choice for a Catholic Christian or for a Protestant Christian. You got to vote Trump. Trump 2024. God bless and stay Catholic.